So today we're going to do a walkthrough of structured notes and its current sets of features. First, I want to highlight the capture mode. Most digital tools force us to be librarians, filing PDFs and tagging notes in a system that eventually becomes a digital graveyard. Structured notes is really changing that game for us, for our work. It moves you from a sort of librarian to more of a director, and it starts with this universal catch-all capture functionality. While I'm going to be using voice here, the system accepts anything. It could be a set of URLs, it could be a dense 50-page PDF, stream of conscious journal entry, or in this case, it'll be a voice note, as if I'm out about on a walk or running an errand and I have a thought that enters my head and I want to capture it. Okay, so thinking about Project Atlas, we need to lock down the vendor list by next Friday. That's critical. I spoke to Sarah from engineering, and she says the prototype is delayed until October 15th, which is a problem. We need to move the budget cap to $50,000 for the marketing phase. Also, remind me to email the board about the new sustainability requirements. And for the event launch, let's definitely go with the green future theme. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, after I've done recording it, I'm going to be able to process the note. And what I'm going to be doing is using a set of templates that help you to structure the output in a particular way. So in this case, it's going to be meeting notes. And I'm going to hit save and process, and it's going to be processing the note. And so this is the raw view. It captures, the ums, the chaos of like the recording exactly as it happened. And for lawyers, doctors, researchers, this preservation is a critical safety net, ensuring compliance and accuracy alongside what will be a summary of the information. So we can toggle between that raw version and the processed version. And we can see the meeting notes according to particular fields within that particular template. And you can see it's captured the information in a particular format. And this is the real shift. I don't organize it. The AI does. As I've said, I've applied the meeting notes template here, but think of the possibilities. We have a template section where you can create any of your templates that you'd like to create according to any data capture formatting. And then it's available to you whenever you capture a new note. Doctor's visit, travel planning. You would be able to have recruiters could extract salary expectations from interviews. Developers could extract reproduction steps for bug reports. Chefs can separate ingredients from instructions. So it really turns that kind of unstructured voice or text into what's really a custom database without having to sort a file. So that's really one of the major features just from the capture perspective. So then we're going to move to the chat interface. And so in the chat interface, I'm actually going to add the note, we'll talk about this in a second, to a particular collection. The chat interface, we can stop searching for that information. We can start asking questions based on our data. So I'm selecting the project Atlas, and this is based on a collection. And so before we start chatting, I'm going to select it. I'll show you the collection section just momentarily here. This is essentially where you could have any number of notes, which could be, again, PDFs, documents, data. Here's the voice note that I just recorded. You'd also have the ability, as I show you later, to include any documents you've created, any presentations you've created in a collection, and we have the ability to do that kind of seamlessly. So we're in the chat function. We can seamlessly select the context that we want. And in this case, I'm going to select Project Atlas Launch. And that's really going to ground the AI. So this is context switching. It's first the antidote to AI hallucinations. So in one click, I can switch from a personal finance collection where AI knows my bank details to a creative writing collection, which knows all about my science fiction interests, for example. And so here I can type, if I want, with the context that I've already selected, let's say I'm gonna type, or I could actually say this out loud, but for the purposes of this demo, let me say, what are the primary risks to the launch timeline? So I'm asking about the risks. The AI is not keyword searching, it's performing a synthesis. It connects to the voice note, the specs, as well as the other data on the project. And if I needed external data, I could switch modes. We have both a fast mode, a deep thinking mode, and I could switch also to a web mode, to web search, to cross-reference this against any live data that might be available. And of course, we can generate images as well. What is really important here is that we have the citations. So it gives me the information about the delayed deadline, and then I have the ability to click on the note to takes me back to the exact paragraph where that information was listed. Okay, so we'll go back to the chat. And our perspective with that is that trust is everything. Every answer comes with transparent verification. You know if it's coming from the web, or you know if it's coming from your data, so that you can quickly verify if that's necessary. And there's a whole host of use cases where that's going to be important. And we're going to do subsequent videos where we'll show you very, very specific use cases as well. Okay, so I have the data. I've had some conversations about some of the issues that I want to discuss. I could continue doing that with a number of personas if I wanted to. If I wanted to have the boardroom critic or a set of boardroom directors actually take my data and help me to question my own assumptions and to think critically about things. We'll talk more about that, but and you can create any type of persona that you want to actually help you with that particular set of activities. But what's really great about structured notes is, one of the things is that you're able to immediately move from this chat section directly into creation of documents and presentations. So if I wanted to create a presentation based on that, I can generate an outline. And simply by using a simple prompt like the following, I can type in, or I can record this. A strategic overview of the Atlas launch, focusing on the budget changes and sustainability requirements. I will select all of the notes from the collection, the Project Atlas launch, and select that as a source material. And then I could even select personas for drafting. So in this case, I'll select the Ruthless Editor to see how that works. And then I can also provide additional instructions below about the number of sections that we want. We could even have different personas drafting different sections, but I'll use this for the purposes of this demonstration to generate the outline. Okay, so I've got the outline drafted here. I can edit these sections as I see fit. I could select different personas to draft each section. If I wanted a financial analyst or chief financial officer or data analyst to complete each section, I could do that. And I can draft individual sections, or I can generate the entire document for all sections. So there's a lot of flexibility in this feature set. Once we have the document, we can download it. So very, very rapidly, we can move from our data to a set of structured outputs. And then there'll even be places in the application, we won't do that today, where it will actually indicate where input from a subject matter expert might be needed. Great. And we can do all that editing in the application itself. Needs input before we finalize and download it. Great. What we can also do is we can move directly to presentations. Actually, let's go back to that document, and we will also indicate that this is part of the Project Atlas collection, so we can show it at the end. We'll then go to the presentation mode, and we will say, take the Atlas 3 proposal document we just wrote and create a presentation based on it. We can, so there's the document we just created. And then we can select the number of slides we want. In this case, we'll just select 5 slides. Okay. And then why don't we look at the style? We can say visual themes. In this case, yeah, let's go with professional modern for this particular. Okay. And we can pick our drafter. And I'll add a little bit of perspective there, but that also could be captured within the persona. Okay, so we're ready to generate the presentation just to see that feature set. Okay, well, really in seconds here, I have a presentation. So look at this. The system automatically selected the optimal slide layouts. It generated custom imagery, matching my professional modern style. There are even speaker notes that it wrote for me. And so I went really from a messy voice note to a boardroom ready presentation in a matter of minutes. And you can just, these are simple examples, but you can think about the possibilities. And of course, there are opportunities to edit the slides if you want to regenerate the images. You can see the prompt that was used to create the image. So this was done automatically, but you can create your own image. You can decide that you don't want images. You can also have quotes or any number of other layouts, and we'll go into more detail in other videos. And then we can do this at scale. So we also have agentic capabilities. So the agent is actually going to be able to help you to organize your content, find duplicates, really streamline the ability for you to manage the information that you have. But you can also build presentations. So actually we'll look through all of your content to look for possibilities in presentations. In this case, I'm actually going to give it some other more specific direction. So first we'll select the context. In this case, we will select the presentation that we just created. And here I'm going to say, create 2 new versions of the presentation for different audiences. The first version was for the boardroom. Let's create a new version for our customers and a second version for employees on change management with regard to implementation of the project. And so now it's going to create a plan for actually creating those 2 new versions of the presentations based on the data and based on the presentation that we had selected. And so what the agent really allows you to do is to do things at scale, multi-step activities using all the features, whether that's notes, documents, presentations, chats, collections, personas. It can actually create new personas, create new templates, obviously create presentations at scale. So here I've got a customer-focused version of the presentation, and I've got a employee-focused version of the presentation. Okay, it looks like it's successfully completed the 2 presentations. So we can take a look at those presentations now. And it's built a new deck for our customers. And it's built a version of the presentation for employees. The current reality, the why this happened, prototype status, our deadlines, and again, you can imagine doing this at scale with data to make sure that it is 100% accurate, and you're just recreating it for different audiences on the fly.